Eckhart Tolle once said, "The primary cause of our unhappiness is never the situation, but our thoughts about it." And if you pay close attention, especially to other people, because it's kind of difficult to see our own illusion, our own blindness sometimes, you can see that whenever somebody is suffering, whenever somebody is really upset, they aren't suffering reality as it is. They're suffering the story in their mind. And if only one could drop the story, suffering too would drop. But we like our stories. We are attached to them, not attached to the stories themselves, but we are attached to the character in the story. I like to think that everybody is method acting. They truly believe themselves to be the character in the movie, and they've lived their whole lives this way. And so how could we ever imagine things to be otherwise? But this is part of the game of life as well. To be asleep and to awaken, both experiences are equally valid. But the reason that I speak about these things is because sometimes we've just had enough suffering. We've had enough struggle. And we seek relief. We seek freedom. And that is what I am here for. To offer you this. To point you in the direction in which you can be free. To help you realize that you are already free. And that the only prison in existence is the one in our own minds. But how do we escape this mind prison? A lot of people go through life looking at the surface level of reality. And we say, yes, this is the real world. The world of struggle, the world of survival, of pain and suffering. If you are a parent, or if you are in a family in which you struggle to find food to eat, and you are starving, and let's say you could be in a war-torn country or in a poor neighborhood, you could not doubt that this is the real world. But so too, when we go to sleep at night, and we are deep in a dream, in that moment, we also say, this is the real world. And only until we wake up do we realize, oh, it was just a dream. You see, if you believe that you are a slave to the system, that you have to work your life for money, for survival, that you have to trade the only things that you have that are truly valuable, which is your time and your energy. If you believe that you have to trade these things for money that has decreased in value since its conception, in which its only value is the value that we believe it to have. If you believe in this way of thinking, then you are trapped in the illusion, and there is no happy ending in this world. But this is not reality. This is but a construct in which we have been conditioned to reinforce with our belief. You see, the funny thing is that the forces of darkness, the demonic, they have no power. And so they have to manipulate us into giving them our power of our own free will. And so that is what millions and millions and millions of people are doing right now. You see, it's like the earth has been infected with a great parasite. You can even try to do this with somebody you know. Somebody who's always having problems or who's always complaining. If you try to speak to them the truth or give them the answers to their problems, even if your advice is perfect, they will not be able to hear what you have to say. I've tried it as an experiment because I realized after becoming aware of a certain pattern of one of my friends that whenever I would actually try to speak the truth or respond to their problems or difficulties with an answer or a solution, immediately their attention would go and be focused on anything else but what I'm saying. Because this parasite does not want you to recognize the truth. It does not want you to be free. Because if you are free, it cannot feed off of you. This system in which people believe they are enslaved to, it is not human. In fact, it is a universal demonic energy that exists on all planets because it is an inherent force in the universe. It is fundamental. It's like trying to have light without darkness. The darkness is all pervasive. You will never get rid of it. No matter how much we try and change the world, the universe will always return to equilibrium. The reason I speak about this is because so long as we are stuck in an illusion, a construct, a world that is imaginary, ourselves and everybody we love will suffer. And so it's not that we have to fight the darkness or that we have to save the world. We only have to recognize that the stories that we are believing are not true. But they are true for us because we believe them. We believe these things into existence. And that is the construct that many people are living in. We have believed this system into existence. But in reality, it has no power. It does not enslave you with money. It does not enslave you with work. You see, we are never experiencing reality as it is, but we are experiencing reality as we are. Whatever information and ideas are in our mind are being projected out on the world, and that is what we experience. And so we feel like we're a slave, but we're only a slave to our own mind. And there is nothing that has power over your mind. The only way that anything can have power over you is what you allow in. Because your energy, your consciousness, is the most valuable resource in existence. It is the source of all value. And you give your energy to whatever you focus your attention on, which is why attention is like the currency of the 21st century. And so the forces of darkness and the forces of light are all competing for your attention. And so if you focus on a reality that says, I am a slave to the system. I have to work my life away just to barely survive. There's never enough. I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills this month. I don't know where I'm going to get food to eat. I have no friends. I have to heal all this trauma. I'm no good. The world is like this or that. Or people are always like this way. Or I'm always struggling and fighting in my relationships. All of these stories in our mind exist only because we have given them life by giving them our energy over a duration of time. That we have reinforced these realities by giving them our attention. And at the moment we take our belief away, the moment we begin focusing on a new story, your life begins to change because the world you exist in begins to change. Because you change the world with your mind. Thoughts become reality. The way we think shapes the way we see the world. And in this recognition, you see that you can think whatever you want, that you can focus your attention wherever you want, that there is nothing in this universe that says, I have to give my energy to negativity, that I have to believe anything that anybody tells me. And it's not that you just ignore reality. It's that you consciously begin shaping the reality that you desire. Because it doesn't matter what evidence you think you have, what evils are happening in the world right now, human trafficking, the war zones and deaths of children and all of these tragedies. The universe is perfectly balanced between negativity and positivity. There will always be evil. There will always be darkness. There will always be negativity. And it serves you no purpose to give your worry, your concern, your fear, your shame, your guilt to these evils. Because in that we feed them and make them grow stronger. Even just giving our attention to this negativity, we feed them and make them stronger. And make ourselves weaker. So there is no moral superiority in worry, in concern of all the evil things that are happening. That does nothing but drain you of your life. And think about it this way: every moment that you are focused on negativity, your attention is taken away from what is good. Every moment you focus on what is evil, you take your attention away from God. We cast our vote every single day by what we choose to focus on. With all of our votes, all of the worlds that we have in our mind being projected outward, we create the experiences that we all have to face, that we all deal with. Do you really think that the pandemic was just a few people creating problems? That it was just a distraction? Things happen in the external world because they are an energetic match to the energy of the collective consciousness. All the pandemic was a realization that, well, humanity is sick. But even that is nothing but an idea and a story that you may choose to believe in or not. And in fact, I encourage you not to, because there will always be sickness, there will always be poor, there will always be the homeless, there will always be the starving, there will always be the suffering. I have a quote on my wall right here. It says, "Don't remind the world that it is sick and troubled. Remind it that it is beautiful and free." And that is a quote by Muji. And so you see, it doesn't matter what the facts are so much. It matters what you choose to focus on, because that is the way you shape your world. And so whenever you find yourself ruminating on negativity or a story, just watch yourself as you speak. And you will see why your life is the way it is. It's so obvious to everybody but ourselves. Because we have blind spots and we just can't see clearly. But what you can see is the current state of your life. To what degree are you suffering on a daily basis? To what degree is life a struggle for you? Are things always going wrong? Are you always struggling to survive? Never having enough? Well, these things are nothing but a representation of the stories we have been entertaining. The external world is nothing but a reflection of our past thoughts, our past actions, our past feelings and emotions. The moment we begin to change these things which we have power over, then the world begins to change. But the external circumstances are a lagging indicator, and so it takes time to change. You have to be able to suspend disbelief, to say it doesn't matter what the state of my life is right now, because I have the power to create any life that I desire, and I am not a slave, and I am free. Because this God essence that we are, our true nature, is beyond all limitations. What problems do you have in the presence of God? And you see so many people who believe in God, for some reason still allow the fear in, allow the shame, allow the guilt, allow the negativity. And that is what cuts them off from their blessings. You cannot be in scarcity and in abundance at the same time. You cannot believe that it is difficult to survive and for it to also be easy. It's one or the other. What story are you living in? If I believe that everything is always working out for me, it is not delusion. It is the truth. And my reality shapes to conform to this belief, this assumption. And I am always seeing evidence that reaffirms my belief. And in the same way, it will also be the same if you believe something negative. If you say, there is never enough, you will always see evidence that what you believe is true. And that is why whatever evidence you believe, whatever evidence you think you have, means nothing. What matters is whether or not you are living the life that you desire. Remember, our beliefs shape the way we see the facts. If I have an identity, think about it this way. If I like a certain kind of music, and I overhear a group of people talking about that music, I will begin listening to their conversation, and maybe even go and introduce myself. Because we have a shared identity, there's a connection. But if they are talking about something that I don't care about at all, that will probably not even arise in my awareness, in my experience, and I will move on. And so whatever identity that you have, your mind will focus, it will hyper-focus on all the things, all the evidence that reaffirms this identity. So if deep down you believe you are a victim, you will attract experiences that will allow you to reaffirm that identity. And at one level you will cry, why are all these things happening to me? And on another level you will be rejoicing and saying, yes, I knew I was right. I am a victim. And if you don't believe that people feed off this kind of negativity, most unconsciously, then you do not know human nature. The body wants equilibrium. The body wants familiarity. So whatever is familiar, it will not allow you to deviate from that so much. So if being a victim is familiar to you, if that is the story that you have been replaying in your mind over and over again, it will not allow you to be in a state where you are the hero, that you are the champion, that you are not the victim. Because in the known, you are safe, even if it destroys you. And in the unknown, that is death, even if that's where you need to be. The body will not let you do anything that is contrary to its safety. And what is safe is what is known. And so if you have spent years repeating the same stories over and over and over again, it will not allow you to escape it. But the trick is that nothing can survive without your life. The only reason these stories have survived for this long is because we have been feeding them. The moment you take your attention away, the force of entropy begins acting upon whatever it is that we take our attention away from, and that thing begins to die. So the moment you stop feeding the story withers and falls away. The moment you stop feeding a relationship, the relationship withers and falls away. When you stop giving attention to your body withers and dies. That is why your attention is the number one currency. Because where you focus your attention, that is what you give life to. And we are all giving life to something, whether we realize it or not. And if your life isn't going the way you want it to, it is because you have been giving your attention to the wrong things. And all it takes is your awareness to begin paying attention to your thoughts, to these stories, to the words that you speak. Because you would never consciously say, yes, I want my life to be worse. I want things to be so much worse. The moment you recognize yourself feeding negativity, that is the beginning of freedom. Because you cannot continue to place your hand on a burning stove once you feel the pain. The moment you recognize yourself feeding negativity, the awareness alone stops it in its tracks. But because there is momentum, because we have been feeding these stories and ideas our whole life, it takes some time for all of the juice to leave that story, that idea, that belief, whatever it is. Like when you turn the switch off to a fan, it might still rotate for a while. And so you might go feeding that familiar story. You might go feeding that negativity again. But you become aware. And every single time you become aware of this unconscious behavior, you have the power to take your attention away from it. You can say, oh, I'm feeding this negativity again. Let me not do that, because I know what life I am creating for myself. I know the pain and suffering that I do not want to experience anymore. Some people are never aware. Some people never recognize that they are creating their reality with these negative stories. But then once you become aware, you might, after an hour, realize, oh wow, I just ruminated on all of this negativity for like half an hour. And in that awareness, you begin paying attention to where you are focusing your energy. And the next time you do it, after 45 minutes, you say, oh wow, I did it again. And of course, you don't want to beat yourself up and be upset. Adding more negativity onto the negativity. Being mad that, oh, I fed negativity again. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have. And then you recognize, oh, wait a minute. In my reaction to that negativity, I am creating more negativity, reinforcing a negative identity and a negative belief about what I should or should not be doing. And you become more aware and more aware and more aware until you realize that not a single negative thought can pass through your awareness without your recognition of it. And day by day, all negativity begins to exit your life. And you will see that your whole existence becomes more and more in harmony with the flow of life. All of your problems begin working themselves out because you are not creating them anymore. You are not getting in the way. Everything that you desire will come to you naturally. You will not have to strive or struggle for anything because life is already abundant. God has already provided everything. But it is because the negative stories, the negative feelings that we choose to entertain that cuts us off from what is already ours. All of our desires, all the dream life that we couldn't even imagine, is actively trying to make its way to us. We don't have to go out and chase it, because to chase something means that it is running away. Abundance is natural. It's just that we have to stop doing all of the things that are keeping us in a state of lack. To stop entertaining negativity. And once you really start tasting the fruits of this process, it will probably be addicting. And when that dopamine hits, now you have reinforced a new identity that says, I am on the lookout for all negativity. You become like an antivirus, actively seeking every area in your life, every thought, every person, every idea that you choose to entertain that is not serving you. And in like a snowball effect, you eliminate it all. So peace and freedom and the life that you desire is not as far away as you might think. And the easiest way to enter into this state of abundance and to not focus on all of this negativity is to keep your focus on God. Because when your focus is constantly on God, well, then you are giving your attention and your energy to the highest. So why would you give your energy to anything that was lower? Let alone negativity and evil and darkness. You see, if you entertain the idea of God in the first place, then it is heresy to live in lack, because you are saying, well, God is not good enough. Doesn't matter what we say that we believe, our actions reveal the truth about what we think. If you believe in God, if you have God in your life, how could you live in scarcity? How could you even have any fear or worry or concern about anything? Well, it is because you have placed unnecessary burdens upon yourself. You say, I have to figure everything out. I have to do this. I have to do that. I have to provide. I have to heal. I have to work. I have to do everything. when in truth God has already provided all things. God has already worked it all out. God has already solved all problems. God already knows all of your desires and what is best for you. Do you not think that God wants to give you what you want, so long as it is good for you? So long as that it contributes to the good of humanity? Do you not think that the entire universe will be at your back supporting you on whatever you want to do? And that whatever problems you seem to face, whatever challenges, they don't mean anything. They only mean something when we feel that we are alone in this life. And we only feel that we are alone because we have not been focusing on God. But I would say that it is very difficult to have any of these things when you believe that you are the one that has to do it all. Because your mind will tell you, well, if you don't do it, it's not going to get done. But I say, if God doesn't do it, then it's not going to get done. Because I'm not going to do it. So it is quite necessary that God is part of the equation. And it is also quite necessary that I am not. That I am not part of this equation in this story. Because so long as I believe that I am the doer of everything, so long as my mind tries to keep power and control over me and says, yes, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I believe, well, then I will always be a slave. But if I drop it all and remain as nothing, well, how could I be a slave then? Not a slave to any idea, to any belief, certainly not to any system. Because what I've found is that the less there is of me, the more there is of God. And the more there is of me, the less there is of God. That our mind is like a valve to a hose, constricting the consciousness that we are. Now the mind is a wonderful and beautiful tool, but it can destroy us or lead us to salvation. And most people don't know how to use it. It's like a sword. If you don't wield it properly, you're going to cut yourself. And more than likely, cut other people as well. The mind is only useful when it surrenders power and control to the self, to the divine essence that you are, to the higher power within us. As it has been said, the mind is a wonderful slave and a terrible master. And if you wish to follow the path that I speak of, it is not complicated. It is not even difficult. All that is required is your awareness. And in that awareness, the divine grace of God will take over from there. Because you will no longer have to be doing anything. But this first step, to recognize all the places in which you are being unconscious, that is your responsibility. And for you to have the desire for freedom, to have the desire for a better life. Because as I said, once you become aware of yourself, once you embark on a journey of self-discovery, you will begin realizing the way that you shape the world. And you will develop the power to shape the world any way you please. By watching yourself as you feed negativity and stopping. And then watching yourself do it again because we have been conditioned our whole life. And then stopping. And the momentum, day by day, will slow down until eventually you don't feed negativity at all. And all of your attention and your focus is on that which is good. And that is when you will truly contribute into creating a more loving and harmonious world. Let alone a more loving and harmonious life for yourself.